Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another Facebook Live on Friday. Last week I came to you from the sauna. This week I'm coming to you from my treadmill. I just finished up a nice strength training workout, which I'll post to my story on Instagram a little bit later today, if you're interested in checking out what I just did. And the reason why I'm walking inside the treadmill is because it's snowing outside. Not that I'm opposed to walking in the snow, but it does get a little slick when it first starts snowing. So I've been quite cold this week, just kind of over being cold. So decided to do this walk inside. I did get a walk out earlier this morning outside when it was even colder. So I already got my nice sun exposure for the day, so I feel pretty good about that. But anyways, yeah, just finished up working out. Gonna do a little walk here, then eat some food, eat some lunch. But today I want to talk a little bit about food restriction. So one of the things I've noticed with talking to some clients, it's actually happened a couple times now with a couple clients, and also has happened a few times with people that I've interacted with in various groups that I belong to on Facebook, is that lots of diets out there, ways of eating I should say, they revolve around restricting certain types of foods, right? Pretty much most diets in, I don't know, besides if it fits your macros, where you can pretty much eat anything as long as your macros line up, revolve, either restricting carbs, restricting meat, restricting processed foods, which I think all diets have in common, and really processed foods are not foods anyway, so you shouldn't be eating them. So I don't include those in the category of food, but you're generally restricting something. Keto, you're restricting carbs. Vegan, you're restricting all forms of meat. Vegetarians are restricting meat as well. Paleo, primal types diets are more inclusive, but even then you might be restricting things like dairy or legumes, or there's certain foods that maybe kind of in that gray zone that you might not be eating for a time. And if you start with that diet or a way of eating, and you see a lot of success eating that way, it's inevitable that you might develop an aversion to certain types of foods that you've eliminated to your diet and thought, well, maybe not even consciously thought, but just subconsciously think that, well, if I reintroduce these foods, that I'm going to go back to the way I was before, whether I'm going to gain that weight back, or I'm going to get all this inflammation that comes back, or I'm going to get all the stomach distress come back. And oftentimes what we forget about when we start a new way of eating is that it's often accompanied by other lifestyle changes, right? So especially from a primal point of view, when we talk about a primal blueprint style of eating or paleo style of eating, it's not just about the foods that you put in your body, it's your lifestyle practices. It's what I'm doing now, right? So I'm walking more, I'm strength training, I'm going to bed, I'm avoiding blue light at night, I'm sleeping better, I'm stressing less, I'm getting out in the sun more, exposing myself to different temperatures, being cold, being warm, I'm interacting, I may interact with new social groups and have more friends, more social connections. And it's likely not just the diet change alone that's causing you to feel better or change whatever it is about your body, but it's the other things as well. So we end up becoming afraid of these foods subconsciously or consciously, thinking that they were the root cause of the problem, and very may well have been, right, in some cases. But in other cases, it's probably not, right? So if you, for example, started a ketogenic diet, and when you started, you were not only restricting things like potatoes, beans, rice, fruits, but also things like carrots, beets, Brussels sprouts, these quote-unquote, these vegetables that are quote-unquote higher in carbs. So yes, potato is a vegetable and it is higher in carb, but a carrot, I will argue to the end of time, is not a high carb food. I'd like to see you eat enough raw carrots, unadulterated, with no butter on them or anything like that, to blow you out of ketosis. Challenge accepted, right? I think you'd be full or done eating carrots before you reach that point. So, but you may have restricted these foods and taken them out of your diet, even if you really enjoy them, and even if they're very, very healthy. And then we become afraid to add them back in, fear of, if I eat a carrot, I'm going to put on weight. If I eat a beet, I'm going to put on weight. If I eat a bunch of Brussels sprouts, I'm going to put on weight. Or it's going to kick me out of ketosis. Or if I eat some strawberries, it's going to be the end of the world. And that's just not true. Sorry. It's likely that the reason why you've been successful with your dietary change is not just the dietary change, but the other lifestyle factors. And continuing to do those same lifestyle factors that you're altered and changed, improved along with your diet, and then going back in and adding in the carrots, or the Brussels sprouts, or the beets, or a potato, or strawberries, a banana, an apple is going to be completely fine. It's not going to reverse anything unless, you're dealing with, like I said, it was legumes that was causing you all this bloating and gas, right? And all of a sudden you bring those back in and bloating and gas. But it should be fairly obvious, right? Like, oh, I ate a bunch of beans last night. I'm now bloating and gassy. Was it worth it? You make the decision, right? But I think that after a while, if you've been restricting certain foods from your diet and you're afraid to bring them back in, it's good to challenge yourself and say, hey, what if I loosen the reins a little bit and I start eating some potatoes every now and then? What's the worst that'll happen? I don't know. Maybe nothing will happen, right? Maybe you'll lose more weight. Maybe you'll have better workouts in the gym. Maybe you'll just enjoy the food you're eating more. Maybe you'll put on a few pounds, in which case, maybe you dial back the potatoes, and potatoes aren't good for you. But it's worth trying, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all going to be happier eating the widest variety of food that we possibly can. So, if the message today is really just about, if you've been eliminating foods for a diet, and you've been successful, and you've seen positive changes, I encourage you to think about adding in these unprocessed, healthy foods. It's potatoes, fruits, vegetables, legumes, white rice, things that people often take out, dairy, they take out of their diet, and see what happens. It's an experiment, n equals 1. You can always take them back out, and if it doesn't work for you. But we should never be afraid of eating whole, natural foods and finding the right foods, the most expansive diet that we possibly have, that makes us the happiest. So with that said, talk to you all next week. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving last week. Let me know if you have any questions, need help, comments, anything, message, comment below, message me, Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff. You know where to find me. Talk to you next week.